Okay, I had to get some video on this. I'm changing over Tigen Full Metal Tiger 1 to be Tamiya compatible as an IR battle tank, and I'm putting in an impact battle unit. And I talked to a lot of guys about TFA, Tamiya Frontal Armor, and they have the mod where you can take the mirror and cut the tabs off it and turn it 45 degrees, and then you'll have frontal armor, or you can just go back to stock. I found some stuff in here that was very interesting, so I had to stop and get some video. This is the stock Tigen. Once you get the entire Asia-Tan recoil unit out, which is a very nice unit and very well built and very self-explanatory how it comes apart, the IR emitter comes out of the mantlet very easily. It's just hot glued in. You remove the hot glue with a hobby knife and it'll pop right out. The 5-pin that goes down to the motherboard, once you remove the recoil unit, it's just laying in there. It's really easy to get to. You do have to remove the cupola, the commander's cupola. Now, when I work on these things, I always tape down the hatches so that nothing flops open and gets broken. It's on there with like super glue, and it's not very difficult to get off. First, I took a regular number 11 hobby knife, and I went all the way, scored all the way around the edge to go through the paint. And then I very carefully gave it a bead of uncure around, and I tried not to let that uncure spread, and you can see right here where it ran on me. You got to get that off right away. That will just melt your paint right off, and your touch up afterwards will be much more difficult. But anyway, once I let the uncure work for a minute or two, I took an X-Acto with a round blade. I'm not sure that I don't remember the number on this. I think this is a number 10 blade, or is that the surgical blade? I don't know, but anyway, it's the rounded one, and it the uncure does its stuff, and it just popped right off. If you're gentle and work it easily, the cupola will pop right off, and you can redo it. Now, there's 2 screws right here, and then the whole Tigen base pops out. Now, the Tamiya base, which I seem to have lost, has a flat on one side that lines up for where it's how it locates. The Tigen has a notch. Now, I found something very, very interesting, and this is why I stopped to make the video. This is going to take care of me being able to go back and forth to Tamiya frontal armor and stock armor, with just taking out 2 screws and switching my apple from the top. So what I've got here is this impact base fits in here just right, and in a Tamiya tank it would go with the flat towards the side of the tank, so that when you turn it over, the base, the pedestal for the base is at 90 degrees to the gun, to being in line with the gun. So for Tamiya frontal armor, you want to turn that 45 degrees so that you'll then have Tamiya frontal armor. And this is going to work out perfect because the impact base has this ridge around the outside, and if you line it up just right in there, you can mark it for where that notch is, and I have done that. And now I'm going to take a round diamond file. I'm not sure if this will stay on camera or not, and I'm just going to hit this where it's supposed to notch out. This is where this video might get boring, and the 70s porn music would be pretty good. You guys are probably looking at the top of my hippie head. If you see any fleas, be polite and keep your mouth shut. So if I make 2 of these notches, I'll be able to make one at 90 degrees and one at 45 degrees, or one at 0 and one at 45 degrees, however you want to look at it. And this one will be at 0. I'm 90% certain I've not yet filed enough. I think this might be a problem. Sylvester, come out from there, buddy. Okay. The filing of the notch was unnecessary. This ain't gonna work. Where is it? Yeah, it is. This is gonna work, fellas. Oh, I'm so dang tickled with myself. When I deepen that notch some, that ring, it's almost like they planned it this way. Maybe they did. The outside of this ring on the impact is a perfect fit for the inside of this recess in the Imex Tigen full metal turret. So when I get that notch filed down to where it's perfect, let me see if I can. I'll be able to carve 2 notches. Here's the point. Sorry about the long pause there. That's bad for videos, ain't it? It fits perfect. So I'm going to make 1 notch so that it's like this. And then I'm going to go through the original holes that held down the Tigen base. I'm going to go right, those were the holes that the screws went through. Okay. And this comes up from the bottom. You can see the ring of paint, and the screws go through those holes, and right there. I'm going to put these holes in this base so that I can secure it the same way. And then I'm going to turn it 45 degrees so that the entire deal is tilted 45 degrees for TFA, Tamiya frontal armor. And I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to mark and drill another notch, not mark and drill, but mark and file another notch where the tab is. And then I'm going to drill 2 more holes for the screws. Now, I'll have to be very careful when I do these holes because I'm going to want to use the wood screw type screw that, as opposed to a machine screw that has a coarser thread to thread into the plastic. And when I've done this, I'll be able to put my cupola on. I don't think I'll be using super glue anymore. I might use a couple of tiny dabs of Zap Goo because that I could pull it off and it'll peel up. And then I'll have to scrape off the old Zap and put on tiny little notches or dabs of new. And I know this works because I have tiny little dabs of Zap glue holding my tow cables in place on my Jagdpanther, and it works perfect. So then if I want to change back and forth from TFA to stock, I would just pull my cupola up, remove the screws, rotate it to the other set of notch and holes, replace the screws, couple of dabs of Zap goo, put my cupola back on. I've also noticed that the base for the impact sits at a much higher level than the stock Tigen base does. And what that's going to do, because the impact apple is already taller than the Tigen apple, it's going to get my apple up high enough that the hatch on the commander's cupola in the open position will not interfere with my tank receiving hits from that side, because I'm sure that would be an unfair advantage to have one entire side of your hatch blocked off. That's probably in the safe zone when you're in TFA though. So then my apple will go down in 2 different places. I'll be able to put it down. I probably shouldn't touch those fins as little as possible. I'm still new at this, guys. Be able to put it down like this, and the LEDs will point towards the corners of the tank, or I can move it to TFA and the LEDs will be in line with front to rear and side to side for Tamiya frontal armor. And I thought that was worth stopping to make some video. So I will proceed with that plan, and let me know what you guys think. If you got any ideas, maybe a better way to secure the cupola, because I want it to come on and off. If the hatch in any way interferes with my apple, I might just keep 2 cupolas. I've got a spare metal cupola that I could just totally remove the hatch from and put that on, or go without a cupola at all when I'm battling, and just have the cupola for when she's sitting on the shelf, you know, or driving around the tank track. Take the cupola off completely for IR battles. So let me know what you guys think, because I'm just figuring all this out now, and it's still new, and I'm open to input, fellas. Cool? See you next time.